Have you ever looked at a teenager and thought, they seem okay? Maybe they are still going to school, still living with friends, still scrolling through social media, still showing up for family gatherings, still doing what teenagers normally do. From the outside, everything appears normal. Yet, sometimes, the teenagers who worries us the least are carrying burdens we cannot see. A teenager can smile and still feel lonely. They can achieve excellent grades and still feel overwhelmed. They can be surrounded by people and still wonder if anyone truly understands them. That is one of the hardest realities about adolescents. Many struggles are hidden. Unlike a broken arm, emotional pain often leaves no visible signs. There are no bandages, no casts, no warning labels. Instead, the struggle happens quietly, inside thoughts, inside worries, inside questions that may never be spoken aloud. And because adults cannot see those struggles, they sometimes misunderstand teenage behavior. The quiet teenager may be called rude. The worried teenager may be called lazy. The withdrawn teenager may be described as difficult. Yet, beneath those labels may be a young person carrying far more than anyone realizes. Today, I want us to step into the hidden words together, not to become fearful, not to assume every teenager is struggling, but to better understand what life can feel like during one of the most emotionally demanding seasons of human development. Because when adults understand what teenagers are carrying, they are far more likely to respond with wisdom, patience, and compassion. The teenager nobody worries about. Let me introduce you to a teenager you may recognize. Maybe not by name, but by experience. This teenager wakes up every morning and goes through the motions, gets dressed, attends classes, completes assignments, talks with friends, returns home. To most people, everything appears normal. Teachers see a student, friends see a classmate, parents see a teenager managing life reasonably well. Nobody is sounding any alarms. Nobody is particularly concerned. Yet every night, as the house grows quieter, a different reality emerges. The thoughts become louder. Questions begin to surface. Am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Am I good enough? What if I fail? What if I disappoint people? What if I never become the person everyone expects me to be? These thoughts may never leave their mouth, but they sit heavily on their hearts. One of the greatest mistakes adults make is assuming that struggle always announces itself. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes pain whispers. Sometimes it hides behind smiles. Sometimes it hides behind achievement. And sometimes it hides behind the simple phrase, I am fine. Many teenagers learned very early that saying, I'm okay, ends the conversation. So they say it, not because they are dishonest, not because they don't need support, but because explaining what they feel is difficult. Sometimes they don't fully understand it themselves. Have you ever felt something deeply but struggled to find words for it? Many teenagers live in that space more than adults realize. Their emotions are real. Their questions are real. Their fears are real. But the ability to explain those experiences is still developing. And that can leave them feeling very alone. The pressure of trying to figure out life. Imagine being asked to make decisions about your future while you're still trying to understand yourself. That is where many teenagers find themselves. Adults often ask questions with good intentions. Questions like, what career do you want? What university will you attend? What are your plans after school? What do you want to become? These questions are reasonable. They are important questions. Yet, for many teenagers, these questions can feel surprisingly heavy because beneath those questions lies a fear many rarely admit. What if I choose wrong? What if I fail? What if everyone else knows where they are going and I am the only one who doesn't? There's often tremendous pressure to have answers before they feel ready. Pressure from society, pressure from school, pressure from family expectations, and sometimes pressure they place on themselves. What adults sometimes see as motivation may feel like a burden. What adults see as preparation may feel like panic. The truth is that many teenagers are trying to build a future while still discovering who they are. That can be exhausting. And when uncertainty meets expectation, anxiety often follows quietly behind. Feeling alone in a world full of people. One of the most misunderstood experiences of adolescence is loneliness. Loneliness is not always about being alone. Sometimes it's about feeling unseen. Imagine sitting in a classroom surrounded by dozens of students, talking, laughing, interacting, yet somehow feeling disconnected. Imagine attending social events and still wondering whether anyone truly knows the real you. Imagine smiling through conversations while carrying worries you never discuss. That is the reality for some teenagers. And because they appear socially connected, adults may never recognize it. Loneliness often grows when teenagers feel they cannot be fully themselves, when they believe nobody understands their experiences, when they fear judgment, when they feel different from those around them. The difficult thing about loneliness is that it often becomes a silent companion. It sits quietly in the background, influencing confidence, influencing relationships, influencing emotional well-being, without anyone realizing it is there. The comparison trap. Now, imagine finishing a difficult day, You return home hoping to relax. You pick up your phone, and within minutes you are exposed to dozens of carefully selected snapshots of other people's lives. Achievements, celebrations, friendships, success stories, perfect photographs, exciting experiences. At first glance, it seems harmless, but slowly a dangerous comparison begins. A teenager starts comparing their behind-the-scenes reality with everyone else's highlight reel. And the conclusion often sounds like this: everyone seems happier than me. Everyone seems more confident than me. Everyone seems to have life figured out except me. Of course, these assumptions are more often inaccurate, but emotions do not always wait for facts. Comparison has a way of magnifying insecurities. It convinces teenagers that they are falling behind. It convinces them that they are not good enough. It convinces them that everyone else is doing better. And over time, repeated comparison can quietly erode self-worth. Many teenagers are not simply managing school and relationships. They are also managing an endless stream of comparisons every single day. The struggle to belong. At the heart of many teenage experiences is a simple human need. The need to belong. The need to feel accepted. The need to feel valued. The need to feel included. The need to feel wanted. Belonging matters at every age, but during adolescence, it becomes especially powerful. Teenagers are asking, where do I fit? Who accepts me? Who understands me? Who am I where I'm with other people? Who am I when I am with other people? And because belonging feels so important, some teenagers begin changing parts of themselves to gain acceptance. They laugh at things they don't find funny. They pretend to enjoy things they don't actually enjoy. They hide their opinions. They hide their emotions. They hide parts of who they truly are. Not because they are dishonest, but because rejection to them feels so painful. The fear of not fitting in can be incredibly strong. Yet, one of the most important lessons young people eventually learn is this: healthy belonging does not require pretending to be someone else. The right people make room for authenticity, not performance, not perfection, simply authenticity. The weight of self-doubt. There is a conversation that happens inside many teenage minds. Unfortunately, adults rarely hear it. It sounds something like this: I should have done better. Why did I say that? That was embarrassing. I am not smart enough. I am not attractive enough. I am not talented enough. I am simply not enough. You see, self-doubt can be relentless for the teenager. And it often appears during a stage of life where teenagers are already trying to figure out who they are. Some teenagers become perfectionists. Others stop trying because failure feels so painful. Some constantly seek reassurance. Others withdraw completely. Different behaviors, same underlying struggle. A lack of confidence in their own worth. What makes self-doubt particularly difficult is that it often hides behind normal behavior. The teenager may still function, they may still perform, they may still participate, yet internally they may be fighting battles nobody sees. When emotions feel too big. Think back to your own teenage years. Do you remember how intense emotions sometimes felt? A disagreement with a friend, an embarrassing moment, a disappointment, a rejection, a failure. What may seem minor to an adult can feel enormous to a teenager. Not because teenagers are dramatic, but because adolescence is a period of intense emotional development. Experiences are often felt deeply, and emotional regulation skills are still growing. This is why dismissive responses can unintentionally create distance. Statements like, "It's not a big deal," "You're overreacting," "You'll get over it," may shut down conversations. Not because adults mean harm, but because teenagers often hear something different. They hear that their feelings don't matter. They hear that validation does not mean agreeing with everything. It means acknowledging that the experience feels real to the person living it. Sometimes a teenager simply needs someone to say, "That sounds difficult. I'm glad you told me. I am here with you." You see, those small responses can make a huge difference. What many teenagers wish adults understood. If teenagers could speak openly without fear of judgment, many might say, "I don't need you to have all the answers. I need you to listen. I don't need constant lectures. I simply need understanding. I don't need perfection from you. I just need your connection. I don't expect you to solve every problem, but I do want to know that I am not facing those problems alone." There is something incredibly powerful about feeling understood. Not fixed, not corrected, just understood. And often that is what teenagers are searching for. They are searching for a safe person. They are searching for a trusted listener. Someone who cares enough to stay present, even when answers are not immediately available. Becoming a safe adult. One of the greatest gifts we can offer teenagers is emotional safety. Not permissiveness, not the absence of boundaries, just emotional safety. The kind of environment where young people feel comfortable sharing what is happening inside them. Safety grows when adults listen before reacting, when they stay calm during difficult conversations, when they show curiosity instead of immediate judgment, when they separate mistakes from identity, when they communicate, "You matter to me. I want to understand. I am here with you." I want you to know that teenagers may not always accept advice, but they rarely forget how adults made them feel. And often, the adults who have the greatest influence on them are not the ones who taught the most. They are the ones who listened the best. The teenager in your life may be carrying more than you realize. Behind the smile may be loneliness. Behind confidence may be insecurity. Behind silence may be fear. Behind anger may be disappointment. And behind the word "I'm okay" may be a young person hoping someone notices they are not. This does not mean we should panic. It does not mean we should assume the worst. But it does invite us to pay closer attention, to listen more carefully, to create more space for conversations, and to remember that sometimes the most meaningful support begins with understanding. Because when teenagers feel seen, heard, valued, and supported, they are far more likely to navigate life's challenges with hope and resilience. And sometimes, one caring adult can make all the difference. In our next episode, we will explore something that confuses many parents and caregivers. Why do friends suddenly seem more important than family? Why does peer approval carry so much weight? And how can adults guide teenagers through peer influence without pushing them away? Because to truly understand teenagers, we must understand the powerful role belonging and relationships play in shaping identity. I'll see you in episodes 6. Bye for now. If today's conversation helped you better understand the hidden emotional world of teenagers, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a parent, teacher, mentor, counselor, youth worker, or caregiver. You never know who might need this message today. And remember, sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer a young person is not advice. It is understanding. See you in the next episode.